I guess we can just probably get started. I think how we'll structure this today, I will just give like a TLDR of what's happening. I think I'll talk through a little bit of an overview of Season 0, some of the things that myself and the Foundation are pretty excited about for Season 1 with the current ambassadors, and then I think Josh will likely address some questions to us all on the call, which is really cool, and I'll sit on the other side of the table and probably have some questions from Josh as well. So on the call today, we've obviously got Josh from the dYdX Foundation, Starkwhale, who's currently in the Analytics Burrow, MX, who's currently in the Governance Burrow, Marash, who's in the Media Burrow, and then Alucard, who's in the User Onboarding and Education Burrow. And I can see a few of the ambassadors in the audience, which is awesome. And then Oxy-chan can pull you up in a little while once one person steps down after they've kind of spoke about their burrow. I guess sort of just giving an overview of Season 0. So I think 15 ambassadors completed the 1-month trial period, and overall we're all really impressed with the high quality work that was produced from them. It was great to see each burrow collaborate and share a great working relationship. There's probably going to be some changes over the next few months with onboarding additional ambassadors, as you guys can see from the Commonwealth post that we put out, which we're really excited about, and really leveling up the ambassador program in Season 1 and then moving forward, really. I guess, Josh, do you want to take the lead here, and then I'll sit on the other side of the table?
Yeah, happy to. Sorry you guys have to deal with me, I guess, moderating, but we thought it would be kind of weird if James was asking himself questions, as he's been quite involved with this. Anyways, yeah, thanks everybody for showing up and listening. I'm looking forward to this and super excited. I had a chance to actually talk to the governance bureau today, and kind of a priority of mine to be more involved with the ambassador program kind of moving forward. And I think we're all kind of focused on DAO enablement and really focused on enabling, people inside of the dYdX DAO and dYdX community. So kind of appreciate all of the work that's going along with the ambassador program, and other community members who are participating in other lanes. So I guess, James, just to start with you, I think super helpful to kind of take a step back and talk about why the need for a dYdX ambassador program at a 1,000-foot view.
Yeah, sure. So I think the dYdX Foundation was looking into ways that they could really empower high quality community members, and we went through numerous iterations on how we could potentially structure this, from having a small number of high quality contributors to opening the floodgates and onboarding multiple contributors. I think essentially we landed on starting small and gradually increasing the number once each functional working group has their tasks and projects creation for Season 1. I think there's definitely successful programs and DAOs out there currently that we looked at, which I'm sure we can touch on a little bit later. But I think the whole premise of starting this program was that we saw high quality talent already within the dYdX ecosystem hanging around on Discord and sort of contributing during their free time, and really looking to onboard those users into this program and then utilize their skill sets for the specific burrows. And I think what we've done quite well is sort of allocate these ambassadors into these functional working groups and see the success that they've had for Season 0 so far. So really happy with the outcome so far, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing what happens in Season 1.
Yeah, me as well. I think just the beginning, right? I think taking a step back, just something that you touched on, which I think is super helpful for, I guess, people who are outside of the foundation when you were kind of thinking about how to structure the ambassador program. Could you talk maybe a little bit about some of those comps and other communities that you were looking at, and what spurred some of the structure and ideas there?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've kept eyes on multiple functioning DAOs, and this is something I think that the foundation we critically analyse on a regular basis. So for the ambassador program specifically, we looked at what we viewed as kind of the best DAOs in the industry currently, and really looked to try and iterate and better this. So, for example, we looked at Maker, Compound, FWB, Synthetics, Kraus House, and many more, all of which are different, and some have a top-down CEO DAO type approach. Others have the middle ground of delegate groups, and others have a bottom-up approach. I think where we landed eventually is with the kind of middle ground of having a group of individual contributors who feel empowered to take on tasks with a specific directional focus, almost essentially thinking like delegates and leaders of a working group. I think, we saw sort of Binance Angels and opening the floodgates to thousands of ambassadors to really spread the word of Binance, and we really wanted to almost mimic DAO working group functioning, keeping it relatively small and gradually increasing the numbers depending on, contributor success. And I think where we landed is a real healthy and sustainable number, and increasing it really slowly just to ensure that each working group is happy. And I think we've given that empowerment to the ambassadors to really make that decision over the next few seasons on, do they feel they can really justify onboarding new users to the ambassador program, and new ambassadors specifically, and then onboarding them to their respective Burrow. So yeah, like I said before, I think we've had multiple conversations on like DAOs specifically, and like we're not convinced that any of them are 100% fully functioning as most efficient and effective as possible. And we're really hoping that as this progresses, we can make iterations based on the small number of ambassadors in terms of like how it's functioning, the approach that we're taking, and really just work on feedback from the ambassadors themselves in the working groups.
Awesome. Yeah. I echo kind of everything that you said, that like the goal of this is really to build like a best in class governance system. I think, you touched on kind of keeping the amount of ambassadors, or in terms of like sheer number of like participants lower to maintain kind of flexibility, fluidity, for the ambassador program to be more agile. I think with the start of season 1, there are going to be, there is potentially going to be 6 new ambassadors joining across the Burrows, I think, or maybe even more. I was curious, like, how do you envision like these prospective ambassadors like getting involved, finding a Burrow, and eventually like onboarding and joining?
Yeah, great question. I think one thing that the ambassadors currently who have been involved in Season 0 has done well is really keeping an eye on the ecosystem as a whole, and then identifying talent already, and encouraging them to apply for the program. As you can see on Commonwealth, we put out a post yesterday on sort of prospective ambassadors applying for Season 1. Again, if you are interested, apply online. We're definitely looking through applications. I will also just mention that the 6 potential ambassadors that may come on in Season 1, that's not a definitive number. That's almost on the uppermost of what we're really looking to onboard. Again, trying to keep this relatively small and the quality really high. And it's on a rolling basis. So almost keep an eye out, and ask ambassadors in the DMs on Discord or post in channels to ask. But the likelihood is throughout the Season 1, it's likely going to be a rolling basis. So you may not hear until midway through, but that definitely doesn't mean that your application is unsuccessful in that sense. But yeah, so just TBC with that.
Awesome. I think just like pretty broad question here for me. I guess like from just like inside of like personal interest, but what would you, if you had to rank like the biggest challenges to getting the ambassador program kind of off the ground, and like ongoing challenges in terms of like operations, if you had like a short list, what would those be?
Yeah, great question. I think initially it was sort of recruiting the talent from the Burrows. I mean, even though the current sort of ambassadors that we have from dYdX, the majority of them were already in the ecosystem, and that talent was already sort of aware from the foundation team. As you know, we had over 2,400 applications for spread across the 6 boroughs for season 0, and really take the time to go through those and establish roles was pretty difficult. We had a huge number of talented individuals apply, and again, even new applicants that have come in for season 1, we're really looking forward to onboarding those new members into the program. But I think, as you said, this comes with a lot of logistical challenges on the foundation end, but hopefully a more kind of streamlined process for all ambassadors in the future. I think, as we've all touched on before, season 0 has really functioned like a startup, especially for the first month, and each contributor is finding their feet and navigating kind of the difficulty of being thrown in the deep end with 15 other ambassadors and really finding what their niche is. It definitely isn't an easy task. And I think, other challenges that's been found from like ambassadors specifically is almost like narrowing down their niche and functional area, with the gradual reduction of sort of the dYdX Foundation being involved now for season 1. We're essentially looking for this to be like as autonomous as possible, whilst having clear directional goals and tasks for everyone that they decide to do. But I think like as the ambassador program progresses, as the number increases, sort of the less involved potentially the foundation will become, and it'll be more sort of a self-sustaining, self-driven ambassador program.
Yeah, awesome. That was actually going to be like my follow-up question. It's just, like how do you see the foundation kind of working with the ambassador program, I guess like the boroughs more specifically, like as we move towards kind of V4 and post V4. But I think like you covered that. I'm just curious, like where do you see the ambassador program at the time of like V4 and post V4?
Yeah, I think like TBC for like the actual finalized outcome, but what we've found is, I think from the success of season 0, I think the community and team have been really impressed with the outcome, and I think they'll probably likely play a larger role that they all think right now. Again, come grants V1.5, I think there's definitely going to be a continuation of funding for the ambassador program, which is awesome. And I guess being involved with the DAO functioning structure or alongside that is definitely going to be an ideal outcome. And again, identifying and experimenting with these working groups is definitely going to help us formulate the DAO working group structure eventually, what's gone well, what hasn't. And I think on Commonwealth, there's definitely evidence of posting from ambassadors as well as the foundation on learnings. I think also I'll share a learnings post over the next couple of weeks on what we all think has gone well in season 0 from both an ambassador standpoint and the foundation standpoint, just so everyone can have a look at and share comments. So I guess come V4, we definitely see probably a total number of ambassadors being at kind of the 30 person mark, I'd say. So really doubling the number from currently. And I think continuing to really provide high quality work and experimenting with different functioning working groups.
Yeah, awesome. I guess like, do you want to like touch on a little bit more about like, did you set like how you would measure success for like rolling out the ambassador program? I think you just touched on it. Is there anything else you wanted to add there, just in terms of like what like a successful launch and transition in V4 looks like?
Yeah, I think like in terms of like measuring success, I know there's been questions on Commonwealth about transparency there, so we're definitely taking that on board. I think ambassadors have deliverables and expectations that are clearly set up in each working group on our working process and clarity. I think that success in the boroughs is open to the public as well, right? I mean, essentially funding comes from the grants, the community treasury, so all ambassadors should be and are held accountable to the community. And this is something that ambassadors are acutely aware of. So posting weekly on Commonwealth is, again, our priority task. I understand the community might have questions about some of the tasks that are being focused on. And whilst the ambassadors are encouraged, let's say, to respond and address these, I think equally they have a finite amount of time, 20 hours per week currently, and are really encouraged to maximise this in the most efficient way as possible. and really operationalize their funding as set out in the season 0 doc. So yeah, I guess that probably touches on it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate all of the answers there, James. Let's just move on now to, I guess, like analytics, Burrow, Starkwhale, your top of mind. I was listening to your chat like earlier this morning, so super nice. Thanks for doing that. Just wanted like a few like general, I guess, questions for people that kind of want more information about like the analytics Burrow. Do you just maybe want to touch on, I guess, high level overview about like the most exciting things to look forward to in season 1 from the analytics Burrow, and like how you're planning on kind of using data to assist the protocol?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most high-level thing to look forward to in regards to the Analytics Bureau would be the implementation or prototyping of an analytics dashboard that is covering a little bit more than what maybe Dune is covering currently, and maybe brings together some of the different data points that we can look at but are kind of separated. I know that's been a core issue and a core item that kind of people want to see, so we're going to try to work on that this season. And then beyond that, we're gonna continue with our season 1 kind of implementation and solve data requests, DA requests, and kind of refine that workflow, because so far we've kind of set up the workflow, but we really need to make sure the implementation is kind of effective and efficient. And then we want to look at how to improve governance, because for Hankley, it's kind of up to everybody to improve governance and kind of push people towards governance. I don't mean like governance themselves. They have a very specific tasking where they're basically setting up and displaying and presenting good governance. But it's up to everybody else also to get people on board, so that we are actually we have people there to vote on governance and to participate. We want to also onboard maybe one more investor this month, but I'm not really sure if we're going to do that. It really depends. And then was there another question in regards to this?
I'll just pick up on what you said right there. I think like one of the things that I was curious about is like when you're thinking about like onboarding kind of like another prospective ambassador to join you guys, like what are you looking for in somebody to work with inside of the analytics Bureau, in terms of like, I don't know if you want to talk about skill set, personality, like how to balance out the team? Yeah,
that's a good question. We have a good group right now. We have someone who's they're really forward facing, and they're really active in the maybe the front facing side of things. They're really eager to jump on copy and make sure we're updated on all the public mediums. And we have someone who's kind of like maybe top down analytics, and then we also have someone who's really data driven, like they do this kind of for a living full time. So we kind of have like a really nice assemblage of team members currently. And if you're going to ask like who would we pick for the 4th person, it's kind of a hard ask, because we're pretty nicely spaced out generally. I think that it's going to depend over this epoch or the season to see where we're weakest at, or maybe even like what area. Maybe like a tie-in area would be good for us, like someone who has some multitasking abilities that kind of add in some skill sets that we don't have fully covered, in the sense that like maybe we're going to liaison with other burrows or other teams, and there's maybe a linked skill set that we're maybe weak on, but I'm not really sure at this point exactly what I would target as like the thing that we need for that one person. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, totally. A bit of an unfair question on my part, but I'm just curiosity from my own perspective. But I think, I think you answered that very good. Just gonna start. Well, I had like a bunch of questions for you guys, but like in the spirit of time, we're just gonna move on to governance next with MX. Try to get some questions for kind of somebody from each burrow, and then we will open it up to the AMA, because I'm sure with all of the people in the audience, they want to ask you guys some questions too. So I'm Max, turning it to you now. Was curious.
Okay.
Yeah. Was curious if you could touch on just kind of how the governance Burrow is thinking about getting the community more activated and like have heavier amounts of like participation in governance, and like if you could talk about some of the initiatives that you guys are spearheading.
Okay. So that's actually our main goal. And so our main goal for governance right now is that, and how we plan to execute, I'll let you know right now. So the goal of the effort is to like facilitate an inclusive, like an educated governance discussions. So we are like curating content like aimed at specific audiences based on the medium of exchange and level of engagement you can expect at each one. So that's going to be from like Twitter to Discord to forums, and it's carefully staged for each one the expectation that you know for that medium. And then the reason we're doing this is because we're working on like maximizing click-through rates between the platforms. That way, as you go along, you get this comprehensive dissections of the governance matters through our careful staging. To get there, we came up with like a formalized format, the way we plan to execute this. And so you'll be able to follow the trail of how we arrived at every part of the information that is staged. And the framework, again, is for dissecting and disseminating ideas in an open, transparent, and inclusive way for public discourse. Getting this time, like everybody from all the different parts of the community, like starting to engage and think about these issues together.
Awesome. Yeah. One of the initiatives I really like is just trying to simplify. I think like a lot of the proposals can be like quite complex, and I know a lot of people in the community have like limited time. So
we'll break that down. We'll make it simple for people to understand.
Yeah, I think it's a huge unlock, right? Because you're kind of like disseminating knowledge in like a very efficient fashion.
And then we also have like 0x Chan that we're definitely going to use his long form summaries. Those are really nice.
Yeah. I think like a nice kind of combination of like other stuff that's going on in the community too. I think just like in terms of like the roadmap for season 1, what do you think the community should be focused on kind of in the next few months, in terms of like increasing, I guess, like disclosure and like transparency inside of the protocol? Oh, sorry, you cut out a little bit there on my end. Could you say that again?
Oh, I was going to say, go ahead. I didn't hear what you were asking you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, I guess like in terms of like the stuff that the governance Burrow is like cooking up, like, are there any initiatives that they should be kind of like waiting for? And like, can you give any teasers of like stuff that's going to come down the pipe that you guys have been working on? Or was everything kind of covered in the overview that you gave?
Well, we do have a lot that we're working on. That's why I'm just trying to think of like what's coming first. I think first you'll see some ideas thrown out there based that have to do with like voting and delegation.
Yeah.
And different ways we can pivot in that direction to try to get some more engagement, based on the changes. That'll probably be the first discussion that we post. There's a lot more than that coming.
Yeah, I think like some of the, like we had a call like earlier today, and I really appreciated like, you guys are very like forward thinking and trying to like distill what like active community engagement looks like, though it's like extremely difficult. Like that's a very hard problem to kind of deal with, but some very interesting ideas in terms of like, identifying very engaged and active community members, and using like gamification and badges and things like that to keep them involved. But yeah, appreciate all of the insights there. I guess just like quickly moving on to the media Burrow from Marash, I believe it is. I guess thinking about like taking a step back and like thinking about the media Burrow Marash, do you want to just touch on, I guess, like I find that like you guys are kind of like getting pulled in like multiple directions. Like, where do you find that the media Burrow is currently like spending the bulk of its time? So thanks, Josh. I think the media Burrow is a little bit of a bridge between the outward facing side of dYdX, or at least of the burrows, and what's happening in the burrows themselves. So we find ourselves producing content for all of the needs of all of the burrows, and a big task that we're hoping to achieve in the coming seasons is providing some good templates for any sort of content that can be created, whether that's written, whether that's images, like announcement posters, banners, forum posts, right? Videos, whatever it may be. I think our goal right now is really focusing on creating templates for any sort of media so that down the road, any burrow, any member can come in and say, hey, I'd like to make so and such post, such and such graphic, and it's easy for them to do. They can access the materials. It's very easy to get caught up in getting a request and trying to just create a graphic, any piece of media for that request. But what we're really trying to do is create a system where we have all these materials that are easily adaptable, easily molded to different forms of media and social media platforms, and that down the road, thinking long term, we'll have this great data set of templates for the media burrow that anyone from any burrow can come in, and even dYdX Foundation, dYdX Trading, right? Anyone dYdX can come in and utilize that to put out information, make posts, whatever that may be. So that's a big focus on what we're working right now. We're also, while as we're doing that, we're building out a global dYdX brand image, right? So with any piece of content that gets released, we're hoping to ensure consistency. We're hoping to ensure a clean look, easily recognizable brand image, right? So this is really so that dYdX as a whole can grow globally. People can recognize us for our colors, the way we talk, our hedgy mascots. So really just growing dYdX as a whole through all forms of media is the big topic there.
I'll just have a follow up there, if that's all right, Josh. Like Mirash, historically, you've been here long enough. The dYdX platform, I think, has had many community members pushing for greater exposure of the platform, right? And I think one thing where the media burrow is going to be really impactful on is creation and sort of like the management of what we're pushing out this week, the bounty board, where members of the community can do kind of like tasks that are content driven. And I think then the media burrow gets to focus on really high impact tasks that can really drive the brand of Hedgies, dYdX, and the DAO and the foundation. I think for like on this end, how the burrow can really be effective in that sense is also like really like overly highlighting the success of what's going well in dYdX, the foundation, the DAO, grants, ambassadors, community managers, etc. And then really, yeah, like you said, echoing the brand image is going to be a really high impact task.
Yeah, I think the bounty board is going to be a great asset for dYdX. If you hop into the content channel in our Discord, you'll see community members every day just looking to contribute, right? We've got lots of talented people in the community, and maybe they want to contribute on a whim for a couple of days. Maybe they have a great idea that they want to put to use, but they don't see themselves as being long-term ambassadors or contributors to the ecosystem. What the bounty board does is it provides a great gateway for anyone and everyone. So if you want to go ahead and you're a content creator or are good with media in any form or want to take on any tasks, right? They don't have to be media related. That is really a great place for you to go. Look at what tasks are available. Pick up any that you think can play to your strong suits. Get rewarded for those eventually. it's just a great place where we can leverage the power of community, and the power of individual contributions and individual talent, for a short period of time. And then over time, as the bounty board continues to grow and we see continued contributions, well, that's also a great exposure for people to build their name in the dYdX community, right? That's a little bit of how the ambassadors got started. We were just hosting things and doing things for the community, before the bounty board existed, but this will be an added bonus where contributors can get rewarded for what they are doing. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. I guess like one quick follow-up question from Rash is just like, I think you guys are quite in demand, like your services. In the event that you guys are like bringing on like a prospective ambassador or like a new addition to the team, I guess similar question to what I asked Starkwhale, but like, is there a particular like skill set that you guys are looking for to like round out the team right now? At the moment, it sounds like we are thinking of holding off on an ambassador for at least for the coming season. But that's not to say that we're not perfect, right? We don't have all the skill sets completely covered. James is a fantastic graphic designer, and he's good with everything there. I myself can also help out on that front and with some 3D animation and just animation in general. I think things to look out for maybe in the coming weeks or months or seasons is perhaps some more video editing experience as we continue to grow at the brand, and potentially, I don't want to guarantee anything, but as we potentially move to expand to other social medias, perhaps Instagram, perhaps TikTok, right? Just as we continue to grow globally, we'll need creators in all forms of content creation. So video editor might be one that we could look at, and also some UI UX creators as well. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the overview. Really appreciate it. And then moving on to user onboarding and education with Alucard. Alucard, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Doing good.
Good. Thanks. I guess, do you want to talk a little bit about dYdX Academy and like kind of other things that are going on inside the Burrow?
Yeah, so we definitely got a lot going on. And every other Burrow has a lot going on as they develop new content. So
it's a common theme, it seems.
It's a lot going on. So I think one of our main objectives, as we move forward, is going to be really grabbing all this information and making sure it's aggregated as much as possible in creating a documentation structure in which every user can find all the information for every Burrow, what they're working on, all their current and future resources, materials of dYdX, hedgies as well, and sort of aggregating everything and having an information flow that makes sense for users, both joining dYdX for the first time or wanting to join the ambassador program or get involved in the grants program or governance, or just learn about hedgies, or maybe they just want to know how to claim their POAP, for example, if there's incentives with that going on.
Awesome.
So yeah, a big part of that is going to be aggregating information, and then the next part of that as well is going to be the educational courses and moving into providing a standardized structure and analytics as well for assessing the success of those courses with different KPIs.
Awesome. Yeah. I think just like the like dissemination of information is something that's like very important. I think dYdX is like complex in itself. Trading on the protocol also complex, but I think like onboarding and like just having like an understanding of what's going on is quite a big hurdle. And I think that is like actually how like a number of the ambassadors I think were identified as just like people who became like early participants in the dYdX ecosystem, dYdX community, and kind of through, just being like very self-initiated and kind of offering to help others. We're always kind of active in the Discord, active with like answering questions and like getting to the bottom of things. So yeah, I think super, super excited to see how this kind of develops throughout season 1. I know we have about like 20 minutes left.
Josh,
just want to see if David and James had any other questions.
I just want to ask Alicard just a quick question. Alicard, I wonder if you could just like touch on as well as your background, because I'm aware before like starting this sort of like flow for dYdX Academy, you'd already kind of produced your own like DeFi educational platform, etc., etc. Do you want to just touch on that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the projects that I've been working for quite a while is called Ultrasound Finance, which is an educational courses for DeFi in general as a whole. So taking a bit of that experience from there goes into creating some of these educational courses and making sure to aggregate. Again, goes back to the aggregation of educational content. dYdX has an enormous amount of tooling, content, posts, and resources available. But one of the biggest challenges for new users is it's really difficult to find it all in a way that makes sense for where they're at in their learning journey, right? Not everybody that comes into the exchange is going to be at the same spot. Some people have never used dYdX before. Some people have, and maybe they have never joined a DAO or this type of Web3 environment. So there are different points in their journey. So I think one of the biggest things is not necessarily telling a user where their journey should start, but finding ways where you can meet those users where they're at in their journey and making sure they can get involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited about the impact this Burrow is going to have with the academy and the skills that the current ambassadors in this Burrow have. I think additionally, sort of like eventually translating that content and into like multi-language will be a real value add.
Yeah.
And really looking forward to that through the seasons.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the tasks as well. Right now, we're setting up the foundation for all the structure. And after we get through getting that, the follow-ups would be additional content and translation into multiple languages. But first is getting that foundation in place.
Yeah, I guess I'd love to shift the mic over to the community to see if anybody has any questions. I guess feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to ask any of our speakers like a direct question. We can bring it up on stage. As we're kind of waiting for somebody to think of a question and like warm up and put their hand up, I think just like an open question for you all, whoever wants to jump in, is in what sort of ways, I guess, like as I see it, there's a lot of overlap and like a lot of coordination that needs to take place, I think, between the different burrows. Can you guys talk about some of the ways that you kind of ensure that, I guess, like all of the burrows are aligned in what they're working on? I guess open question.
I could speak for governance. It's pretty easy for us. Like we know where to go and who to let know. Like if we're going to step into a certain area, like we just know to go ask. So just part of being in the community.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay.
Josh, I'll just touch on kind of a bit of the tooling as well. So for the ambassadors currently, they've like purchased like a Google Suite, like Loom. They've got domains that they're going to be pushing out. I don't know if Marash, you can touch on sort of like the Notion doc that James and yourself and Thing have been producing, but I think there is a whole suite of I guess tooling that ambassadors do use and are using to communicate and collaborate with. I think that there are closed Discord channels purely for the ambassadors to talk with each other and collaborate. And I think that just creates a real, almost a relaxed environment. I think one real positive thing is whilst the relaxed environment is there, there's a real sense of like doing the work and really contributing to the ecosystem. I think all the ambassadors that we currently have this real, I guess, sense of like putting the protocol first and really heads down building, and that's something that is extremely valuable and has really helped, I guess, streamline the process come season 1.
Yeah. Appreciate that, James.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just wanted to add on that as we move forward and different burrows are releasing their own individual content and work for whatever it is that they may be working on at the time, it's really important that everyone is aware of each other's work to avoid any sort of duplication of work or perhaps misunderstanding on scope. Making sure everyone's on the same page. So it's going to be critical as we move forward, I think, in my opinion, that there is a place where all ambassadors can look at the content that each burrow is producing, and something that can help with that cross burrow communication and sort of organization.
Cool. I think we've got Martin Dock coming in for a question.
Hey guys. Great to hear about the progress about the ambassador program. Just a quick little question. Since we're moving to season 1 and we'll move forward with season 2, 3, and 4, just want to know if we are planning to do like regional or country-wise ambassador programs for later phases. If that's, would love to know more.
Yeah,
James, do you want to take that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that we thought about, and especially as we get closer to sort of like DAO functional working groups, is like how can we really like onboard users like multinationally and make it a really inclusive process. If they don't speak great English, they can still come in and contribute. Like to be honest, Martin, I don't think we're gonna right now do sort of like, I guess, an app like ambassador program in every country. I think what is becoming more apparent is as we're growing the foundation team from like a country lead perspective, we are having our country leads really wanting to onboard ambassadors and community managers specifically for that country. So I'd say keep an eye out for that. But from like an ambassador program perspective, right now there's no real plans to do one in each country. Although kind of we're open-minded for the future, really. Cool. Anyone else? Any other questions? If not, I guess we can finish there.
Just want to, I think MX mentioned he wanted to touch on something quick.
Yeah, for everybody here, I want to give you guys some alpha. So we have 2 hedgy giveaways that are about to drop the daily candle close, like an hour and 15 minutes. It's going to be on Commonwealth, and it's going to be our hedgy giveaway, which probably won't sound as fun, and then Starkwhale has a really fun one. So look out for that.
Huge alpha. Keep an eye out.
Thanks, MX. Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Way to drop some alpha, guys. I just had one question, I guess, for all the ambassadors on the call. Having now gone through season 0, experienced kind of both the highs and the lows of remote coordination via the DAO and working groups. I'm curious to hear what are you guys looking forward to the most as we start season 1 on June 1st? What's the big milestone that you're looking forward to?
I kind of want to see the community tackling some bounties in the bounty program. That's got me very excited, actually.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Alucard. I think the bounty board is going to be huge in terms of leveraging more community members to get involved and complete tasks. And I think that the involvement just has positive reinforcement behind it, right? You contribute, you get rewarded, you want to contribute more.
and it's a bit of an endless cycle there. That's how we're all in this place. So definitely looking forward to that.
I would say for governance, we're really looking forward to just like opening up the discussion and just getting everybody kind of thinking together on working on like just an optimal long-term solution for the protocol.
Yeah, for analytics, I'd say, I guess maybe trialing the analytics template so we can give some more long-form thesis to people when they make data requests, and then getting the dashboard out so everybody in the community can actually participate and see maybe some more of the raw data of what's going on with dYdX, in a way that they haven't seen before.
James, Josh, how about you guys?
I could probably go first. I think I'm honestly really impressed by Season Zero's outcome and performance from the ambassadors. I think everyone has been really working for each other. And I think just really looking forward to see the impact that the next 3 months make with the addition of the funding. So yeah, that's my excitement for Season 1.
Yeah, I think picking up on that, it's just like something that I touched on in the beginning, but I think like dYdX is very clear about its goal to build the best crypto trading platform, the biggest crypto trading platform, and I think on the DAO side, our goal really is to build just like a best-in-class DAO, best-in-class governance system, and I think we have a lot of really talented individuals. I think like most exciting for me is just like finding ways to enable them and unblock them so they can continue kind of building and making the protocol better. But yeah, I echo everything that was said. I think like super excited to see more active governance participation. I think media being unlocked now in terms of, other people being able to come in and produce content, huge unlock, as well as, the bounty board, which has already been discussed. I noticed like we have about 10 minutes left, and I don't believe there's any more questions. So it seems like a really good time to wrap up. Just wanted to personally thank James and all of our speakers, Marash, MX, Starkwhale, Alucard. Thanks so much, guys. I know you're super busy, so I appreciate you guys all kind of aligning at the same time to have this discussion. And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in. James, David, I don't know if you had anything else to add there.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I think like this is going to be a really important thing that we host on like a weekly, 2-weekly basis of just getting everyone together just to inform the community. And I think, yeah, just super happy with the bunch that we've got already. And if anyone is interested in the audience in becoming an ambassador, then apply through Commonwealth and or reach out to these guys in the DMs. And I'm sure they'll arrange a call. Cool. I guess let's close it off there, and we'll catch up with you all on Discord and on the next AMA.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much. Thanks all.
Everybody have a good evening.
Thanks, Josh.
Have a good one.